Blood is a film that I've been working on for almost 2 years now. And it was inspired by my own personal journey with endometriosis, having had surgery about 4 years ago and dealing with a condition for about 19 years, not being diagnosed simply because there isn't a lot of research into the condition. Um, I went through years of just not really understanding what was going on with my body and just experiencing a lot of debilitating pain. And once I shared my story, I had like hundreds and hundreds of messages from women all over the world who said, "This sounds like me," or "This sounds like my sister," or fathers saying they have a teenager that seems to experience the same sort of pain. They don't know what to do. To women secretly having to fly out of the country to have surgery because they didn't want their relatives or family members to know that they were going through this. And that was the toughest thing. I will share the story that I think kicked off the need for me to produce this project. It was that of a young woman who was in her early 20s, was a breadwinner of her family, and was a woman who was holding herself till marriage. She had always experienced extremely excruciating pain during her period, every single month. That would prevent her from going to work, prevent her from being able to walk, and ultimately provide for her family. And so she went everywhere. She spoke to aunties, family members. She had people who told her that, this pain will go away the moment you start having children. She went to hospitals where she did not necessarily get the type of care that she felt she needed. The pain was still there. There were no answers. She was then recommended to go to a local herbalist to see if there was something she could take. And she's then met with an option of losing her virginity as a potential solution for this condition. Um, this young man offers himself in aiding with that. She gets pregnant, and ultimately her life has changed in that moment. Her family's life has changed in that moment simply because of misinformation. And not to say that this lady had endometriosis. It could have been a hormonal imbalance. It could have been stress. It could have been fibroids. There's so many things that it could have been. But I felt like she was let down by everyone that she sought help from. She did not have the necessary access to information that would help her. And so it was in reading that story that I realized that we can no longer be afraid of talking about certain things. I know that our culture tells us that, keep quiet, don't share too much, don't talk too much, or wait until something is done before you start talking about it. But there are people out there who need to hear what you have to say and what I have to say, who will feel some sort of connection and feel seen. And so Blood was born from that story, my story, the hundreds and hundreds of stories that we got, as a means to showcase how women's health is something that doesn't get a lot of the right attention and financing that is required. And so Blood is a psychological thriller that follows the story of the main character, played by myself. And you see the horrors of what she has to experience as a woman. You see how it affects her economically, physically, mentally, emotionally. You see how isolating it is. And ultimately, we want to use this project as a vehicle to just raise awareness. And where we are right now is that we've been able to raise some funding for this social impact project. We're still raising because film is not cheap. And we want to be able to use it to kick off workshops in Nigeria, across other African countries, and globally, and just partner with the right kind of brands, whether it's feminine hygiene brands or corporates. So we are super open to collaborations. And the moment I realized that this is something that people wanted to see was when we did our Kickstarter. So because it's a social impact project, there's a slightly different way that we went in with raising money for this project. And so we had decided to open it up to the community to say, hey, if you think that this is an important project that people need to see, support us. And we were able to raise a good amount of money from that, from just people from all over the world, just dropping little bits, whatever they had, in supporting the project. I'm so grateful to God to be an ideas person. And as a creative, sometimes it's hard because you have to align with people who can help you execute or fill in the gaps when you can't. And so I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that this year. Having learned that, you don't have to carry the entire load by yourself. Yeah. So there's benefits to aligning with the right people. My advice is give yourself grace. I'm a recovering overthinker, and I'm most definitely an overachiever, which means that at times when I reach a particular milestone, I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. What's next? So I think it is important to give yourself grace in realizing that getting to where you've gotten to, even if it might not be the number one spot that you envisioned for yourself, was already an amazing journey. Where you are right now is somebody's answered prayers. So give yourself grace for the times when it doesn't move quite as fast or go quite as well. And yeah, just continue to build that faith, because somebody out there needs to see what you're creating, needs to see that it is possible. I believe that our gifts are not just for us. We are blessed with our abilities in order to be living testimonies that there's more out there and to inspire people.